Breaking Bad is one of the greatest TV shows of all time that is not up for debate. Of course, there are many reasons behind its success, but if you ask me, one of the most important is its villains, especially one in particular, a character who deeply impacted every viewer, Gustavo Fring. With his cold-blooded personality, professionalism, and unique style, he may very well be the greatest villain in television history. Let's explore what makes him so exceptional, both through his story and the traits that define him. To understand Gus's motivations, we need to look into his past, because even though his personality might seem purely rational, at the core of who he is lies on an emotion: revenge. Let's travel about 20 years back in the Breaking Bad timeline. Gus is running his Los Pollos Hermanos restaurant chain, and there is someone in his life he deeply values, a man named Maximino, or simply Max. Max is a chemist, and through a flashback in Season 4, we learn that Gus was the one who funded his education. Together, they want to launch a business that combines Gus's talents in management and Max's expertise in chemistry, a venture into crystal meth, which at the time wasn't even a popular drug. They try to get the attention of the Mexican cartel leader, Don Eladio, by sending him a product sample through his men. And soon enough, they receive an invitation, just what they hoped for. When they arrive at the mansion expecting a meeting with Don Eladio, we are introduced to another iconic villain from the series, Hector Salamanca, whom we've previously seen as a silent, wheelchair-bound old man. This flashback is the first time we see the moment Gus and Hector come face to face. From the very moment Hector sees Gus, he shows him nothing but disdain. It's made clear that this hatred is rooted in multiple layers: racism due to Gus's Chilean background, and possibly even homophobia. Hector doesn't hide it. His scorn is blatant and aggressive. Soon, Don Eladio enters the scene. Gus and Max, filled with a mix of fear and ambition, start presenting their vision. They explain how crystal meth is the drug of the future and how it could yield massive profits for the cartel. But Don Eladio listens with a mocking smile. He abruptly shifts the tone of the meeting.
¿Por qué tengo que hacer negocio con un hombre que me falta respeto?
Gus is stunned. He tries to explain that he only meant it as a way to initiate contact, that he never intended disrespect. But Don Eladio doesn't care. What he sees is a disrespect, an insult to his power, and he responds without mercy. Then comes that iconic moment. Hector, with a pistol in hand, executes Max right in front of Gustavo, the man Gus cared about most. Gus drops to the ground, trembling in rage and grief, barely being restrained. This becomes the turning point in Gustavo's life. Don Eladio and Hector try to use this trauma to scare him away, to break him. But Gus doesn't run. Instead, he dedicates his entire life to a slow-burning revenge. He doesn't strike back out of rage. He builds power, step by step, planning the destruction of Don Eladio's empire from within. That day, a fire was lit inside him, and it will take years to reach its full fury. After Max's death, Gus doesn't lash out. Instead, he plays the long game. He uses his business acumen and discipline to earn a place under Don Eladio's operation, becoming one of the cartel's most valuable distributors. But this transformation takes years. During this time, Gus builds a reputation for professionalism and composure. He becomes a man the cartel can rely on, so much so that a large portion of their income starts coming from him. Slowly but surely, Gus rises to a position of incredible influence. Meanwhile, Hector Salamanca can't stand what he sees. In his mind, he is one of the founding members of the cartel, a man who, because of age and legacy, should never be outranked by someone like Gus. His pride and jealousy become increasingly obvious. But Don Eladio doesn't share Hector's loyalty to tradition. He values results, and Gus delivers. That dynamic plays right into Gus's hands. During this time, Gus constructs two distinct personas. The first is the public-facing image, a humble and charitable businessman who owns a fast food chain. As the owner of Los Pollos Hermanos, he treats his employees with genuine kindness. He's the model boss, cleaning tables, taking orders at the register, and always willing to lend a hand. His staff adore him. The second persona is the real Gus Fring. Unlike figures such as Don Eladio or Hector, Gus has a different moral compass and code of conduct. He shows no interest in indulgence, luxury, or excess. What truly unites these two personas is Gus's unwavering professionalism. Even in his legitimate front business, Los Pollos, he strives for perfection in every detail. In my opinion, That's what makes him legendary, his ability to remain composed, rational, and meticulous under any circumstance. Now, let's get back to the Hector. Gus's thirst for revenge runs so deep that when Hector eventually suffers a stroke and becomes paralyzed, Gus ensures that he stays alive. Not out of kindness. Gus refuses to let Hector die before watching everything he built crumble. He wants him to leave, humiliated, powerless, broken. That's the level of control Gus seeks. That's how far his vengeance goes. In the end, while Hector sits alone in a nursing home, a disgraced, powerless relic of the cartel, Gus has reached the height of his power. He toasts with Don Eladio, pretending to be the loyal partner, all while planning his final move. And when the time comes, he strikes. He kills Don Eladio and everyone involved in the cartel's leadership in a single, ruthless blow. Gustavo Fring declares the collapse of the old empire and the birth of his own. All that remains is Hector Salamanca, the last remnant of the past. And here's where Gus, the master strategist, makes his biggest mistake. Instead of ignoring Hector, he confronts him. He wants to savor his revenge, to look his enemy in the eye, knowing he's won. But this is where another story and another character enters the scene, and you already know what happens next. In the end, even though Gus managed to destroy the cartel and complete his long-planned revenge, fate doesn't separate him from Hector. The two sworn enemies die together, not at each other's hands, but through the trap set by a chemistry teacher. In conclusion, Gustavo Fring holds a special place in television history. His charisma stems not from loud speeches or brute force, but from silence, professionalism, and an icy ruthlessness. Even after all these years, when we think of great villains, he is still one of the first names that comes to mind.